Es haben sich im Hause Ring viele Veränderungen ergeben.
At the Ring Company, there have been many changes. One of them certainly is that, in addition to the perforating, the punching, the tannery machines, we have also been engraving embossing rollers and plates since 2016. And of course, we have also been developing the designs. Now, I would like to give you a short presentation how we do it here at Ring Engraving. I would also like to compare our offer with that of our competitors, and also to highlight a little bit of what we do differently. Therefore, we have described the whole thing with the following headline: New Technologies for the Development of Engravings and Embossing Designs. You already know the company Ring from the perforating, punching, and tanning areas, especially for applications in the following industries: automotive, aircraft interior, and furniture. The companies that are part of the group of which you already know are, first of all, the Ring GmbH, specializing in perforating and embossing. Then Does, where our meeting is taking place here today. And not to forget the company Ring Maschinenbau, specializing in the construction of punching machines. Since 2016, the latest member of the Ring Group has been the company Ring Engraving, with 2 sites. Responsible for sales and the development of embossing designs is our site in Mönchengladbach. Then there is our site in Pirmasens, where the embossing rollers are produced. Now I am going to give you a very short review of how our competitors, in the past and sometimes still today, develop embossing designs and how they engrave embossing rollers. After that, I am going to show you how it is done today, here in Mönchengladbach and in Pirmasens. Until recently, the subject of developing new embossing designs was mainly done by hand engraving, which means that in order to do that, the co-workers have used real and proper tools. They have used their punches, they have used their chisels, and they have used their hammers in order to create, process, and transfer a pattern into a steel tool. Put the pattern together. Repeat the pattern. And what I have always said is that you can really tell whose hallmark it bears, because the engraver who did the job, and if he did it well, you cannot see any joins where the 2 patterns meet. And if this person is still undergoing training as an engraver, well then, I can tell you that these joins could be seen well, and these effects, these lines could also be seen in the embossing rollers later. In the next picture on the left-hand side, you will see a steel tool, the so-called engraving tool, which is used to copy the pattern from the engraving tool on the left-hand side into the printing rollers. This is done using a combination of pressing and etching. On the right-hand side, you will notice that the machines do not look exactly brand new anymore after a short period of time. The machines are exposed to acid fumes. There is a lot of oil, there is a lot of slag, and there is no need to say that it is not a very friendly environment. Everything looks a bit dreary after a short while, and therefore the machines also look a bit worn out or slightly rusty. The latest state-of-the-art technology of developing new embossing designs is to operate only with digital data. At our company, we only work with digital data. Whether it's the engraving tools, engravings, or tool engravings, we no longer use all these things at Ring. So this is why we need a scanner in order to scan the pattern and to produce 3D data, that is black and white data. The next step is to edit these data on the screen. It is then possible to print small embossing plates of sizes up to 500 by 300 millimeters in 3D.
Von 500 mal 300 Millimeter 3D zu drucken, also dieses klassische 3D-Drucken, was man aus anderen
You already
Bereichen
know
kennt, wo man
classic
teilweise
3D
schon
printing
Schrauben
from
und
other
solche Sachen
fields,
für
where
produktionstechnisch
screws and other
verarbeitet werden.
components are
Aber hier halt
produced
die
and then
Möglichkeit,
processed in
3D
the actual
Unterdruck
manufacturing
umzudrucken,
process.
die dann so aussehen wie
And here we now have the
die
possibility to print our engravings in 3D. And they look like the later embossed engraving on a roller. And as I've mentioned earlier, we are also able to do pressings of customer materials, customer leather and synthetic leather, paper, or whatever. On the left-hand side, you will see the scanner located in Mönchengladbach. The table size of this scanner is 1 meter by 90 centimeters, which is really large. However, the most revolutionary aspect of this scanner is that it runs at a speed 40 times faster than the previous generation. That means if you compare the new generation to what has existed so far, we were able to scan an A4-sized pattern within 8 to 10 hours. Today, we only need about 40 minutes for the same process, resulting in a significantly faster development of embossing patterns. After that, we edit the 3D data on the computer. That is what I've said a few minutes ago. Here you can see how well the employee has processed the picture. But we have considerably better control mechanisms. If you would now, please take a look at the left-hand side. You can see that there is a clearly visible streak down the middle. And on the right-hand side, you will notice that my colleague has then revised and edited the data so that this streak is not visible anymore. The next picture will show you what an all-over pattern really looks like, meaning how the pattern repeats. There are no repeat lines, arranged at a 45-degree angle, and there are no streaks. Everything you see here now is an absolutely natural-looking embossing quality. In the center of this next picture, you can see the 3D printer used to print our embossing plates, which can be used later for pressing patterns on your material. Also, I have here 2 or 3 embossing plates for you to look at. If you are interested, you are invited to take a closer look at them in a few minutes. Of course, the lifetime of these laboratory worktops cannot be compared with a steel roller or steel plate. But it is really sufficient to see the first pattern results. Next, you can see our pressing machine, which works exactly, or at least very similar to the production machines manufactured by Mostradini, or to give you another example, Gosini or other manufacturers. Also, the embossing plate is heated up and then pressed against felt, so there are similar conditions as in production, only at a smaller scale. Next, we'll get to know the unique feature that we have in our factory in Pirmasens. It is a 4-beam laser direct system. For example, when our customers have released the data created by us with this facility, the next step is to engrave these 3D data directly into the surface of the rollers. Hence, it is the only 4-beam laser removing 4 layers with one pass over the roller. Per layer, about 7 to 10 micron are removed, depending on the type of engraving in question. Thus, we are in a position to reach an engraving depth of between 30 and 40 micron with one pass. Of course, the advantage of this facility is that once programmed, it can run for 24 hours at a stretch. If compared with an engraving tool process which runs for about 8 hours, the human factor, basically meaning someone making mistakes in this process does not have to be taken into account. We can honestly say that we are faster. We have a more natural process. Yes, we are indeed much better than everything available on the market in terms of engravings. Let me please summarize all the advantages. Development times of embossing patterns are reduced. What we can say is that, generally speaking, within 2 weeks' time, we are able to show you a completely new developed embossing pattern, like pressings into leather. Compared to how long it took us in the past when we needed 8 to 10 weeks, it is very easy to make modifications of patterns as they are done directly on the screen. For example, we are able to realize depth changes within a few hours, only without losing the engraving details. In the past, we were also faced with the difficulty of etching deeper, causing a loss in details. Another advantage is that the engravings are without a repeat pattern. They do have repeat lines, but they can hardly be seen, as was not the case in the past. When you take a look at the old engravings, you could notice some repeat patterns reminding you of oversized stamps set at a 45-degree angle on the rollers and leaving a mark on dark leather especially. That is not the case anymore. We are in a position to correct all these faults using our black and white tools, making the repeating section clearer. I would like to draw your attention to another important factor: diameter adjustments. Very often, it is the case that when using the engraving tools, respectively, the old engraving techniques, we have to see to it that the diameter fits, which means that the pattern needs to be repeated on the circumference of the roller as many times as necessary. And if it does not fit, we either have to produce a new roller or we have to make some modifications accordingly. We are also able to do this directly on the screen with just one click. For example, we are able to realize some small-scale modifications, like adjusting the pattern in terms of percentage change in size to make it smaller or bigger. You, as a customer, will not be able to tell the change. To summarize, let me say the following. Embossed engravings created by using the direct laser engraving technology look considerably more natural. There are no engraving streaks. There are no engraving pictures, so that on the whole, it looks much more natural compared with working with an engraving tool accordingly. Before I'm going to show you a little clip we've made about our product in a short while, I would like to point out one thing. Many of our customers also use coating rollers. For instance, products by Gamada or Kila. And the machine manufacturers, especially Gamada, are always telling you to use new rollers. Dear customer, this is not exactly true. We are in a position to offer you a special service, as these rollers may be re-engraved twice. That means when you have bought a new one and it is worn, it can be reconditioned twice, and therefore you do not have to buy a completely new roller each time. Well, it doesn't apply to plates, because the plates always have a certain size. Usually, we work with oversized plates in production, and if they are already cut to size, we cannot use these plates anymore, unfortunately. We surely can make some modifications on a plate, and of course, there are hand engravers who can do the adjustments. No, this is not possible, unfortunately. If a plate has been taken off the machine, it causes some problems. It is almost impossible to fit it accurately again. Yes, you are right. This is not possible either. And regarding the plates, we really have to say that the material usage is relatively low in relation to the total costs of such a plate. Well, I don't know exactly, but a plate sized 13 by 70 by 1000. I mean, the base plate costs approximately 200 or 300 euros. And you will then have to pay, well, I'd guess 4,500 to 5,000 euros for the completely finished plate. It doesn't make any sense considering the effort of dechroming, grinding, and reusing. You might as well spend approximately 300 euros on this all very quickly. However, it's a completely different story concerning rollers. Here, it makes sense to remove the old engraving and have a new one instead. Well, the company, the whole group, of course, has been operating worldwide on the Americas, Europe, and also Asia. Before starting the clip, I would like to thank you for your attention, and please do not hesitate to contact me later if you have questions. We're looking at our new direct laser machine with a 4-beam laser system which can be extended to an 8-beam laser system. The advantage of this new system is that we are able to engrave 4 times faster than the existing systems. Another advantage of this direct laser engraving facility is that we only work with digital data. The etching technology is no longer in place, and we no longer work with the tools, the so-called engraving tools. That means we won't make any mistakes during engraving of the rollers, such as repeat lines or streaks. As a result, the rollers look much more natural than the old rollers did, which were engraved using the existing systems. Another advantage I would like to point out is that the facility can run unmanned for 24 hours. In principle, laser technology is also used by our competitors. However, thanks to the quadruple, or in the future maybe octuple laser technology, we are considerably faster. And not to forget, our engravings are considerably more precise as well. The Ring Engraving Company has been active in the market for about 2 years. We are increasing our involvement in the production and development of embossing technologies and the engraving of embossing designs. This is the reason why we have invested in the scanner technology and 3D printing technology in order to develop patterns for our customers and also to realize pressings on customer material. This, in turn, serves as customer approval for the later engravings on embossing plates or embossing rollers, which we can realize with our laser technology.
Lasertechnik entsprechend aufbringen.
Thank you for your attention.